In my last video, I talked about my RC remote control DC powered setup. And since then, I've had a little bit of time to work with it and find out a few of the shortcomings that I might need to fix, and wanted to go over some of those things with you guys here, just so you're aware. So first off, just to cover what I've got, this is a 50 caliber storage container I got from Harbor Freight. It's plastic. It was like $10. It's a little tight once I get everything in here, but it's just the size I need to fit what I want. So I have the power supply in here. I have the two motor controllers I'm using in here. I bought this on-off switch from Amazon. I cut some holes in it and installed the computer fan with an opening here so that air can circulate through the container. And that's all nice. That keeps it nice and contained in my train shed. And it's easy. When I want to go play with trains, come in, flip the switch, grab the remote control, and I'm good to go. So let's go over some of the issues I've found with the setup. So first off is circuit breakers, fuses. I don't know what the right term would be. Maybe they're interchangeable in this instance. But these devices may have fuses or circuit breakers built into them. Truth is, I don't know, and I don't want to test it. Why do you need one? Well, what if you have your train going over a switch where you have, you have the positive and negative rail and the other positive and negative rail, and your train derails, and now it creates a short. That could, if you don't catch it in time, send enough power back into these units to pop something or damage them. So what I did is, just to be on the safe side, I bought these little inline fuses, or circuit breakers, again, not sure what the right term is. I got them off Amazon. It was like 3 of them for $10. And what they are is they're 10 amp capacity thermal circuit breakers. So what that means is, if it heats up, so if there's a short happens, that causes heat. It's waste energy. And when it heats this thing up, it pulls a little piece of metal up, breaking the contact. So in other words, when your short happens, that thing pulls up and it stops the circuit. And that's good, because as soon as that cools back down, it'll touch, and if it's still shorted out, it'll pop again. And it'll just keep doing that, preventing this from getting damaged until you come to correct the problem, like pull the train off that's causing the short or whatever. Also, the benefit is, if it happens, just give it 30 seconds or so, and when that cools down, it'll reconnect and you can run your trains just fine. Again, is it necessary? I don't know, but for $10, I'd rather use them and then have these take the hit rather than fry something in here. So that's something I wanted to point out to people. The last thing I wanted to go over was pulse width modulation versus linear signal. So I'm going to throw out some terms here, and I'm not an electrical engineer, so please don't yell at me. But a lot of the modern power systems, power supply, and these motor drivers put out PWM, pulse width modulation, which I'm going to short term as digital signal. And a lot of older technology, including our locomotives, like linear or analog signal. I am not going to go into the details of that, but I will tell you that some things I've noticed on some of my locomotives are, like, when they're running forward, the rear light might flash or flicker just faintly, because that pulse width is sending again, I don't want to get into the weeds, but it's sending enough of a signal that it's causing that light to briefly and barely illuminate. I've read that some people have had issues with some of their older locomotives with sound not working correctly on pulse width. I haven't had that issue, but I've read that. Another issue I've noticed is my old LGB track cleaning locomotive worked fine on analog, but when I tried running it on this, it doesn't move. Like, the grinding wheels will go, but the actual train itself will just stay there and not go anywhere. What are you doing? Do you need to interrupt me? Thanks. Appreciate that, bro. Anyway, so you get the point. There's a few issues. None of them are critical. The trains run okay. However, I wanted to eliminate that issue. One additional thing. On my caboose, I've replaced a lot of my lights with LEDs, and then I put capacitors in there so that as they're rolling over maybe bad spots in the rail, it's not flickering. It's a nice constant brightness. But what I've noticed is because of the PWM signal, the digital signal, those capacitors are basically useless. Like if I'm not running the train above half speed, I notice that basically the power drains out of the capacitors. Never had that problem on linear. So what did I do? I went to G-Scale Graphics and I bought these. These are digital to linear or digital to analog signal converters. And just like you think, the signal comes out from my motor driver into this. It'll convert it to a linear signal, and then I have it pass through my circuit breaker and go out to the track. And the reason why is if you think about this in reverse, the way a short circuit's going to happen is on the track, so it'll trip here before it gets to this or to that. I've bought 2 of them, so I'm going to go out there. I'll let you guys know how they handle. If everything works, great, fantastic. But yeah, I just wanted to follow up on that last video and give you guys some information on what I've done since then, like this enclosure, some of the protection mechanisms I've gotten, like these fuses and circuit breakers, and then some of the optimizing things, like these converters to try and improve how the trains work. Obviously, this increases the cost a bit because I think these are like $20 each, maybe a little more. These are about $10 for the 3-pack. So the price does go up, but still, I don't remember. I'd have to do all the math in my head, but I still think I'm around 200 or maybe even 250 at most for all of this stuff. And that is for a wireless remote control DC setup, which I still think is a bargain compared to most train transformers are 200 plus and all they do is work with a knob. So I hope this proved useful and helpful. If you have any questions about what I've discussed here or aren't sure about something I covered, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll do what I can to respond. But yeah, guys, thanks. Hope you enjoyed this. Take care.